first thing we look at is front end sanctions geoblocking, right? Is does the front end at the very least, so you may have a DeFi protocol and you'll have a front end. Can you reasonably be confident from a simple geoblock perspective? You don't have North Korean, uh, uh, you know, IPs accessing the front end of the protocol. I think that's kind of, a minimum level compliance you want to be able to show to be able to be a good actor. It may not be perfect, and we could, you have to always go back to the Bank Secrecy Act to see what the actual requirements are. But I think for DeFi, where it is now, having that's a no-brainer. It's also front-end OFAC wallet screening. So if you're building an EVM, I think all of the sanctioned wallets are in Ethereum. Maybe there's one or two that are not on the ETH blockchain at this point. But if you're building in the EVM area, being able to block all the sanctioned wallets, right? So there's actually obviously designated wallets by OFAC which need to be blocked is a similar requirement. Also, if you're building on a non-EVM chain, you want to make sure that you're talking to these analytic tool providers. If, for example, you're building a new L1 or you're building on a new L1 to see if there are mechanisms for other users to do their own transaction monitoring. So, for example, people use chain analysis, they use TRM labs to do the analysis on these DeFi protocols to see, the whole chain of transactions to see if there's any suspicious transactions. If it's a brand new protocol, typically you're not going to be integrated, but you want to start that process as soon as possible so that everybody else can start to do that transaction monitoring. Because without it, you're not going to be able to block wallets. You're not going to be able to do the required transaction monitoring. And I made a kind of column down here for emergent best practices. I think there's some really interesting work being done on kind of protocol level integration of sanction screening. And so what does that mean, right? So it's somewhat easier to do at the front end, but there's some protocols that at the very protocol level will also be blocking OFAC sanctioned addresses and wallets. And there's different ways you can do that, and different startups are looking at ways to provide for that. But that gives you that extra level of comfort that if you're GSR and you're transacting on this pool, that I'm not otherwise engaged with bad actors. And that's just obviously a great peace of mind for regulated players like GSR.